For most Rochester area residents, the Genesee River is that muddy body of water they pass over as they make their way through the city. For those who live south of Mount Morris Dam, the Genesee offers a mix of beauty with the threat of flooding and memories of Hurricane Agnes in 1972. For others, the river is an important source of water for agriculture, for drinking water, and for production of energy. From its source in Gold, Pennsylvania, the Genesee River flows north to Lake Ontario. It is the only river in New York that spans the entire state. The Genesee travels 160 miles and drops 2,500 feet in elevation as it passes through small towns and rural landscapes. The force of the water carves the gorge of Letchworth Park and exits to flow sleepily through farm country. It enters Rochester slowly until its full power gathers as it races downward through the heart of the city and empties itself into the big lake. But the river's beauty and its potential are hidden from view, only seen by those who seek it out. Forest-covered glens, cool and rich with aquatic life and the calm quiet of trout and bass fishing, or time spent discovering the life of the river from canoe or kayak. Adventure can be found in whitewater rafting, ballooning over Letchworth Gorge, and salmon fishing at the mouth of the river. Yet despite this beauty, its full promise is unrealized. The Genesee and near shore of Lake Ontario face serious water quality issues that limit their use and reduce their value. That is why the Center for Environmental Initiatives has launched the Genesee RiverWatch. In the past, the river was treated as a useful resource, but also as a sink, a place to dispose of waste from households, businesses, and industry. The guiding principle was, dump it in and let the river carry it away. In addition, logging and conversion of forest to farmland reduced the natural buffers along the waterways, creating unstable banks whose erosion pours tons of sediments into the river. In the 1960s and 70s, public and private entities began to right the most obvious wrongs. Investments were made in controlling pollution from industry. Cities and towns improved their sewage treatment systems and reduced stormwater runoff. These efforts brought us a long way toward restoring the health of the river. But is it enough? The entire Genesee River watershed was assessed by the New York State DEC in 2003. The watershed covers over 2,300 square miles of land, including the major sub-watersheds of the four western Finger Lakes, the Upper Genesee and Canaseraga, Honeoye, Black, and Owatka Creeks. The results of the assessment? The DEC report lists 30 streams as impaired, and many more as stressed or threatened. More than half of the watershed's lake acreage is designated as impaired. In fact, the poor water quality of the Genesee River as it flows into Lake Ontario contributes to the federal designation of the Rochester embayment as an area of concern. The two biggest causes of poor water quality in the Genesee River basin are sediment and excess nutrients. Massive amounts of sediment come from eroding riverbanks, development activities, and seasonal runoff from harvested fields. The overall quality of the water is reduced as the suspended sediment interferes with the ability of light to penetrate the water. Sediment that settles on stream beds destroys habitat for aquatic organisms. It clogs rivers and streams, reducing their use for navigation and costing millions of dollars annually to keep Mount Morris Dam operating and the Port of Rochester open. Phosphorus is an essential nutrient for all aquatic life, but excess quantities cause problems. Plants, such as algae, respond with rapid growth, making conditions difficult for native plants, fish, and insects. In lakes and slow-moving streams, high phosphorus levels can cause algae blooms. At a minimum, these blooms create unpleasant odors and unsightly conditions in our waters. They can lead to beach closings and swimming bans. At their worst, algae blooms are a hazard to human health. One of the biggest sources of these excess nutrients is discharges into our waters from wastewater treatment plants and septic systems. Another important source is farming activities, both from fertilizer used on crops and the disposal of farm animal wastes. We don't have to accept the river as it is today. Just as we undertook a river cleanup in the 1970s, we can solve today's problems. Reducing excess phosphorus and curbing erosion is possible. We know what needs to be done. We need to upgrade wastewater treatment plants in communities along the river, implement modern farm management practices throughout the basin, and stabilize stream banks in key areas of the river. It will take a lot of work, money, and time, but it can happen. It needs to happen. We all have a stake in this noble cause. After all, clean water is essential for life. There are many citizens and groups working to restore the waters of the Genesee River Basin. Among them are cities, towns, and villages, regulatory agencies, scientists, farmers, businesses, homeowners, and citizen groups. With so many varied efforts, the Genesee RiverWatch seeks to be the voice of the river. Our goals are to reach out to these groups and work together to improve the river by tackling the biggest problems first and attracting untapped sources of public and private funding to get the job done. We will monitor progress with public reports on the state of the river, and we will work to build public understanding and use of the river. Only with an involved community will we be able to sustain the effort necessary to keep our river healthy for future generations. The Genesee River is a unique treasure for our community. Its raging power forms the Grand Canyon of the East. Its gentle passage through rolling farm country makes the Genesee Valley one of the biggest dairy-producing regions in the nation. But most importantly, the Genesee is our river. We are its caretakers, and we have work to do. CEI launched the Genesee RiverWatch to provide a way for the citizens of the region to get involved and make a difference. Our work is just getting started, and we need your help. Become a sustaining friend of CEI with a 3-year commitment of $500 or more annually. Make a cash donation of $160, $1 for every mile of the river. Sponsor an event such as the annual Genesee Basin Summit, CEI Community Salute, or workshops on river quality improvements. Provide in-kind support such as copying, printing, office supplies, gas cards, computer hardware, or office space. Volunteer in one of our Genesee RiverWatch projects. Restoring the Genesee is the work of our citizens and the work of generations. It is work worth doing.